So today I'm going to show you how to make a dried and textured wreath. So we'll be using a mixture of fresh and dried flowers, and it's going to be super gorgeous. So please carry on following and watching the steps to see how it's made. You will need the following: a wreath ring, a wire reel, moss. This needs to be wet. This is because it hydrates the stems, but also a lot of the door wreaths are placed on a door outside, so we need to make sure that it just weighs down the wreath so that any wind or bad weather doesn't blow it away. You'll also need some asparagus fern, grevillea, eucalyptus, some pine, silver Sussex, grevillea, natural, we've also got coloured grevillea in this, bracken, holly, magnolia, berries, limonium, waxflower. There's quite a lot in this one. So the first thing we need to do is get our wreath wire, and we've also got our wire reel. So we need to kind of attach on the reel wire onto the wreath wire. So before we do that, we just need to kind of fluff up our moss. So when you get it, it's probably going to be all like quite dense. So if we just fluff it up a bit so that it goes a bit further. You can do this as well while we're placing it on there. So it's best to use wet moss. I use sphagnum moss. You shouldn't really pick it. I think it's actually protected in the UK, so do buy it from your local florist where it's imported. Okay, so we're going to attach on the wire onto the wreath. So we need to make sure that this section here is where we attach it on. So we want to wrap the wire around a couple of times, and that's on this bit and also the T section. Okay, so we're going to start putting the moss on. So what we need to do is this kind of creates the first shape. So we just need to make sure that we are shaping it with our hands into kind of just a rounded hill. A mound, what's the word? A mound, a round. Anyway, you know what I mean. So, and this is just dead simple all the way around. Now, I find it easier. Some people, when they first make a wreath, they make it difficult for themselves and they place the wire up this way. We need to make sure that the wire and where you're holding the wreath is always here towards you. Some of you might find it easier to wire this way. That's fine. If you find that you naturally want to wire that way, do that. I just naturally go to the left. So again, just keep like shaping the moss with your hands and wrapping it over. Always easier to go over with the moss. Pull it tight back, because it's just more, it's awkward if you're going under the wreath and over. So we're going over the top first and pulling tight. Not too tight that you break the wire, which I've done before, but tight enough that your moss stays in place, because you don't want it coming loose. You don't want your foliage and your berries and stuff coming loose either. Okay, so you can now see the shape is forming nicely. Just keep remembering to rotate it round. You always want the centre point towards your centre. So you don't want to be wiring over here. Make it easier for yourself and keep rotating it round so it's in front of you. So, for those of you who, well, no, I was going to say for those of you who live in Wigan, but it's not necessarily, because we are posting some stuff out. So our Christmas shop just has gone live today, and today is, I don't know what today's date is. What's today's date, someone? November the 9th. There you go, everyone. November the 9th. So we have got lots of beautiful. We've got loads of lovely little bits for the home, nice little gifts. We've got mini Christmas trees, wreaths, wreath kits. So if you haven't already bought one of our wreath kits and you're watching this video and you're like, I'd quite like to do that, head over to olival.co.uk. You can have a look. We've got Christmas bouquets, and we'll also be doing some lovely Christmas table centres and Christmas DIY table centres for those of you who like to get crafty. So head on over to that. Right, so we are all done now. So can you see we've kind of got a nice circular shape here. What we don't want to do is cut this. We need to keep this on. So we're going to cut this right at the end when we've finished it all. So make sure you keep that on. Okay, so the next bit, we're just going to go on to the next step, and I'm going to show you how to start doing the foliage. Okay, so now I'm going to show you how to cut all your foliage, berries and flowers ready to put on the wreath. So we've got lots of bracken. Now if you feel like you need more of this and you can see some that you like, I don't know, if you live in the countryside or whatever, maybe just get a couple more stems, but just check the landowner's permission first. Okay, so this is quite crazy, the bracken. Just cut it down. We don't want anything too long. We don't want to cut it too short either, because otherwise it's not going to get stuck in the wire like we did with the mossing. So a couple of these. Okay, so that'll be fine for our bracken. Next I'm going to do a little bit of this evergreen. So this, you can do some stems a bit longer because this is a bit more of a natural design rather than the one behind me, which is the traditional wreath. So this, for example, is way too short. This, way too long. So something in between about that big. Okay, so we've got some bits there. Got one of our berries. If you've got the kits, you'll have one of these in. This is ilex berry, super beautiful, comes in loads of different colours. This one is my favourite, it's like a corally red, it's gorgeous. So with this, I'm going to chop it there. Might need a bit more later on when we actually go to put it in, but we'd rather it have enough to take off rather than cut it too short, because then once we've done that, that's it really. This eucalyptus, we can break this up a couple. Okay, and the holly, break that down. Okay, this limonium, super simple. Just get your bunch of limonium, cut them all, done. Dead easy. Pop that in there. We've got some wax flower. Just cut that down a couple. So we'll probably get about 3 stems out of the wax flower. So we've got, should have 2 of those stems. This is if you've got the kit. If not, if you're just joining us and you want to just learn how to make a wreath, we will be showing you at the beginning how much of stuff you need. We've also got some lovely fern. This we can break into 2. Okay. And then lastly we have our magnolia. So this again, I'm just going to cut down just a couple of times. I'll probably get 3 out of this. Okay, and that's all our foliage cut. Next, I'm going to show you how to start making the wreath. Okay, so we're going to start foliaging our wreath. Now, as I said in the mossing instructions, if you find it easier to wire this way, or let me turn around like so, do that, but I wire to the left. So if we're wiring to the left, our foliage needs to be placed on the opposite side on the right. So I'll just kind of make a little grouping and I'll show you. So I'm just going to put a couple of bits together, almost like it's a little bunch. Okay, and we're going to place that down. Now remember, it's wire over, pull under, wire over, pull under. Okay, so just turn this round so you can see. So we've got the foliage to this side, the wire is going away from it. We don't want to be wiring over the foliage because we're just going to flatten it all. If you feel that you need to wire this way, you need to start your foliage on the opposite side and go the opposite way. So all we're going to do is dead simple. We're literally just going to layer, do different materials. Don't do all the same all the time, because otherwise you're just going to have chunks of one colour, and we want it to look nice and even. So this wreath is not too structured. If you want some longer bits coming out, or if you've got any twigs at home that you want to place in, go ahead, because this one is just a nice random design. The bracken is perfect for bulking out the design and just giving it that really like country natural look. So what we need to make sure we're doing is, so we're covering all of the moss base, we need to place some foliage this way and some that way so that the entire wreath is covered. If you're only placing foliage on the outside, you're going to see all this moss on the inside. So we need to make sure we're doing this all the way along. So you can see now the shape is starting to form, and we're just going to go all the way along and finish that, and just keep layering on top of each other. Right, so we are coming to the end now, so this bit's just a little tricky. What we need to make sure that we're doing is placing this last bit of foliage under this section. We don't want to be wiring back over the foliage because it's going to make it flat. So when we're stuffing the rest down here, and we're going to wire under here as well, so it might be a little bit tricky. So as you can see there, I've just placed that underneath. Just going to wire that around. I think this will be our last bit. Just place it right under. Pull it down slightly. Snuggle it in, and then we're just going to have to wire it. So you might have to just feel for your hand going underneath. You don't want to wire over the foliage, wire under it. Okay. Cool. So last bit, I'll just show you how to tie this bit off and how to do the hook. Okay, so for the hook, we're gonna go under the main bit of the wire. So you need to cut another piece of the real wire. Place 2 even sections, like so. And then what we're gonna do is we're gonna leave a little hoop about this big. And then with these 2 tails, we're going to wrap them round each other. So keep going all the way up, all the way up. And then what we're gonna do is we're gonna spin this around and twist it a couple of times. With your tails, just shove them in the moss, place them in the moss, whatever you want to call it. And there we go, that's our hook.